who's going to get a haircut to go interview for a brand new job. I don't think that's the way to get ourselves out of these economic turmoil right now.
And Mr. Hoekstra, under certain circumstances, you indeed could support the sales tax on services.
I support a total redo of the tax system in Michigan because it's anti-economic growth. It stifles investment. It stifles entrepreneurs. So my priorities are, number one, we've got to streamline government. The cost of our government today is probably $2 to $4 billion more than what we can afford. We've got to take these costs out of state government, which then gives us the framework to reform our tax code. Number one priority is get rid of the Michigan business tax. We had a terrible tax with a single business tax, and then Lansing in its wisdom came up with a tax that was more complicated and more expensive than what they had before. So the Michigan business tax has to go. This is not telling people outside of Michigan that Michigan is open for business. This is telling people inside of Michigan that Michigan is open for business, because with the terrible reputation that we have, the first people that we have to target for investing in Michigan are people in Michigan to take capital off of the sidelines and move it back in. So you got to get rid of the Michigan business tax. You have to get rid of the statewide property tax. There's 6 mills that are taxed at a statewide basis. The state should not be having a property tax. That should be done. Property taxes should be strictly a local tax. The third thing you need to get rid of is you need to get rid of the non-homestead property tax. We are a state that supposedly is a tourism state, is one of our pillars of economic development, but we are pricing people we're pricing people out of the market to come into Michigan and own a second home. And the other tax that needs to be fixed is the personal property tax, where you have a business that buys new equipment, becomes more competitive on a national, on a global basis, and the end result is, thank you for making that investment, thank you for committing to Michigan, and by the way, for improving your business and improving your competitiveness, we are going to increase your taxes.
But didn't you say that, let me interrupt, didn't you say in Detroit a couple of weeks ago that there were circumstances under which indeed you could support the sales tax?
Oh, no. And so the taxes that I would prefer to end up with on a statewide basis are a sales tax on goods and certain services, and an income tax, where we would get rid of a number of the deductions and lower the rate, because you focus on 2 relatively simple taxes to collect. It would be a fair and a flat tax proposal, broad-based, and so yes. But the end result is the state would be collecting taxes in a fairer way over a broader base of goods and services than what we have today, and I believe we would end up with an economic climate. We would end up with a climate that would be more favorable for economic growth and economic investment.
Are you both opposed to graduated income tax? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Under no circumstances.
Well, actually, broadcast TV personalities and those folks might be exempt, but would be included because they are a category into and of themselves. As you would agree.
Mr. Cox?
Do I agree with taxing you more?
No, that was a question. No, that's not.
I'm against the graduated income tax, because all that would do is drive wealth further south of the border.
Well, what is wrong with people that make more money paying more taxes?
Well, they do, Tim. At 4.35%, you make $1,000, you pay 4.35% of that. You make $1 million, you pay much more.
Well, the proponents of the graduated income tax say you just made the case for going to the graduated, because the percentage on the people making less is the same on people making more, who ends up paying more money percentage-wise, Mr. Cox.
Well, here's the thing.
It ends up percentage-wise making more.
Well, I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay.
A couple things. In terms of Pete's idea of getting rid of the 6 mills, that would be property tax. That would mean that we'd have to mess with Proposal A. And I'm against messing with Proposal A, because that's been a very good tool to lower property taxes historically. But getting back to your question,
please.
The flat income tax. In my plan, which is right here, and you can go to Mike Cox 2010, I'm the only person with a detailed plan looks like this. Go to my website, Mike Cox 2010. I've had it out there since September 8th. The past 5 months for folks to take a look at 92 different ideas. I propose tax relief. And part of my relief is rolling back the income tax hikes of 2007. Why is it in addition to eliminating the Michigan business tax, but first cutting it in half? Because you can't eliminate it right away because about $700 million of it goes to school aid fund. But income taxes matter for every single working man and woman out there. If we want to create an entrepreneurial society, who is that? Who are we trying to encourage? In addition to that, business tax reform doesn't get to partnerships, doesn't get to S-corps, and I expect a lot of you have partnerships or S-corps. And the Michigan business tax reform that's floating out there need not get to you. So income taxes matter, and we are competitive in income taxes right now, and we shouldn't mess with it unless we're going to reduce it.
My question was, percentage-wise, the person making 1,000, person making 100,000, that person making less is actually giving more percentage-wise to the state. Do you agree with that concept?
You lost me there?
Yeah, maybe I lost both of you.
Yeah,
well,
no, they're giving the same percentage.
Yes, but it's more money out of their pocket than is out of yours.
No, for instance, your share of the 4.35% is much higher than mine. I grant you that. But we're paying, even though you're making more than I am, we're still paying our fair share. And we all have equal interest in government.
All right, should credit scoring be used to set insurance rates?
Let me go back and just answer your question, graduated income tax first. As soon as you go to your graduated income tax, most likely what you'll start doing is you'll start complicating it with certain deductions for certain behaviors that you're going to want to encourage. Where we need to go as a state is we need to go to as a simplified tax system as possible. And as easy to collect and as broad-based. This is why graduated income tax gets to be a problem. You put in the deductions, you put in the graduated rates, and all of this, and pretty soon we're going to be in a situation just like you are with the current state or the current federal taxes, where it gets to be something that we will enable my son, who's going to be an accountant, to have work. All right, I'd rather have him doing other things than doing those kinds of things. Credit scores and those types of things in terms of insurance rates, I would prefer that these folks out here have the opportunity to identify exactly what are the key indicators that are predictor of what claims are going to be made on policies and people's ability to pay and these types of things. It should be one of the things that people have an opportunity to factor in, and I don't want the state coming in and micromanaging at that level. That's the problem that the state has right now.
So let them use credit scores.
I'd allow them to use credit scores because I wouldn't outlaw it at the state level. One of the things that we have found, and one of the problems that you have in Michigan today, is that we overregulate. Michigan is a hard place to do business, and we are an expensive state to do business, and we need to fix that.
All right, credit scores.
Tim, right now, as most of these folks probably know, 28 states allow the use of credit scores. And if we were to ban the use of credit scores in Michigan, what would happen is 2/3 of the insurance in Michigan would start subsidizing the other third. People forget, and I know it's a great issue to demagogue, but the reality is right now the insurance commissioner has the ability to go after any practice that isn't actuarially supported. But credit scores have been shown to be actuarially supported. And the reality is if we got rid of them, 2/3 of the insureds in Michigan would end up paying more.